We've got flags and banners, and if you mind your manners, we might even get to standards and what they represent. So just take my voice's hand and we'll both try to understand how this vexillologic podcast could be flagged for content. Flagged for content.
What's up, VexHeads, and welcome to episode 48 of Flagged for Content. It's the only podcast releasing its holiday episode in mid-January. I am sorry about that. I'll explain in a minute. It is also a Flags for Good podcast, and you can head on over to flagsforgood.com/flagged4, like the number 4, content, and you can use that same thing at the end there as a discount code once you are there. And yeah, score yourself some sweet flags. They even have a few of the actually good Minnesota redesigns instead of whatever thing this committee came up with. Anyway, enough on that. It's we got years and years to be upset by that. Anyway, so this is a long one. I wanted to get kind of straight into the episode. There's a few things up top, so I'll just run through them the way I have them written in my notes. 1, apologize for audio. Yeah, I think I must have not had my mic plugged in for all this one because it recorded over my camera audio. It's obviously not nearly as good of a mic as the one that I paid more for, I should say. So anyway, I do apologize for my audio. I tried to fix it as best as I could, but trust that nobody is more upset by that than I am. Secondly, let them know the schedule will be random. Yes, if you do not follow me on social, like follow the show on social media, then you won't have seen that. Basically, I'm taking a foot, like kind of half off the gas right now. Episodes are going to come out when they come out. I will try and stick to generally 2 a month, more or less. But, bear with me if one is like a week late or if a holiday episode comes out in mid-January, just as random examples. Push the Patreon. Yes, I wanted to push the Patreon. Despite what I just said, we do have really good stuff on the Patreon. I have flagged for bonus content, which is the episode 48.5, 49.5. It's just a little extra that we go over with each guest. Usually it's in the 20-minute range. I think for this episode it's longer. But yeah, so check that out. We also have flagged for even more content, which is just a solo show that I kind of sit down and do by myself. Tell them there will be more lives and varied content. So more lives, not in the sense of like Mario or Zelda, more lives in the sense of that Minnesota redesign flag commission. I forget what I named it, but where we have like a panel of 5 people and then myself. We are going to do a lot more of that. It does not mean we're going to do less of this, though. I still love doing the show, and that's going to be the primary focus. But if you're interested in doing any of those lives, or if you can think of a subject or somebody you'd like to see on one of them, let me know. All right, I'm already running a little long. Okay, yes, sorry it's not actually the Christmas episode. I covered that. Okay, yes, next point. I am slow, as I covered, again. And Alex's Czech Flags tournament that he mentions in this episode, I think near the end, that Czech Flag one has ended. But the good news is he's got a new one coming on, I think right now or very soon. And that is going to be a new 2023 flags tournament. So not any, but most of the flags that were new last year are going to compete in this tournament, and we'll see what the people's choice is. I know which one is not my choice. And I know which one is, and it's in my background here. It is Syracuse. Anyway, tell them to stick around for quiz at end. Okay, yes, so there is a quiz at the end of this one, not in the sense of what I usually do or what I kind of used to do a little bit more for quizzing the guests, but this is a little bit of a meta episode, and Alex knows the show better than I do and is going to quiz me near the end. Yeah, so that is fun. He has a lot of tough questions for me, not many of which I get right. There's a few I got right. Anyway, check that out. It's very fun. Alex is the one that runs the TV Tropes page as well, which I'll put for viewers on the bottom of the screen now. And yeah, go check out the TV Tropes page. It is amazing. I cannot believe somebody put this together. I wouldn't have the patience to do it. So I'm eternally grateful that Alex did. And yeah, you guys should go check that out as well. So anyway, like I said, I was going to keep this short and then I didn't. But yeah, let's go ahead and get on into the episode. Take it away, future Andy. Folks, we have yet another incredible guest for you this week. You know him from his Tumblr tournament account, Flag Wars. You know him as the creator of the Flag for Content TV Tropes page. And he knows the show better than anyone else, including myself. It's Alex Tomberlin!
Yes, I'm really happy to be here today. Yeah, I've been really looking forward to being on this show.
Yeah, man. Happy to have you. It's, as I mentioned, I think you know the show better than I do, so yeah, makes sense. And Alex, for the listeners and viewers, where are you located, despite whatever your shirt may say?
Yes, I live in Central Florida. Yeah, so yeah, the temperatures here, like even though it's winter for most people, here it's still relatively warm. Like we do have some cold snaps every now and then. Like today, it's got down to it was high 50s, low 60s, which to me here in Florida is really cold. But yeah, but we during winter we do sometimes get down pretty low. Well, sometimes we get down to, and very rare, like sometimes we get below freezing. In rare occasions, we can even get into the 20s. But that's only very rarely. That usually only happens like a couple times a year. So yeah, here, and Christmas itself, like oftentimes we'll have Christmas where it's in the 60s all day. Or we'll have, and so once in a while we do get a cold Christmas. But when it's a warm Christmas, it doesn't really feel like it's Christmas. It just feels like any other day. So,
right. I imagine like I kind of have the same questions for like my guests from like Australia and New Zealand. You know, like, well, I guess those are pretty much the two in the southern hemisphere I've had at this point. But like, yeah, it just seems wild to me that like Christmas wouldn't be. I mean, like I'm here in Tennessee, so it's obviously not cold. Although today was like a high of 45 or something. It was, you know, pretty cold. But yeah, I cannot. Well, maybe 5 years ago we got a white Christmas, and that was the first time in a long time. So can't imagine like Christmas going out in my yard and just like, because you've posted pictures of this, like just seeing like an alligator just like out in your front yard. Because I remember I was like, is that part of that like Payne's Prairie Reserve or whatever that I went to when I was in like Gainesville, which like. And you were like, no, this was just from my yard.
Yeah, recently I've been seeing alligators pretty much every day. Yeah, like we've been seeing a lot of alligators right in front of our house. There's one big one, and then there are these two babies we keep seeing.
Do you have names for them?
I haven't named them, but yeah, my family used to have a tradition on Christmas where we'd always hope to see an alligator on Christmas. We'd call it the Christmas alligator. So that was kind of a Christmas tradition. And if we didn't see one on the bank, we'd go out in the boat and try to track one down just so we could have our own Christmas alligator.
Man, y'all Florida people are built different. Because yeah, like that's every single part of that sentence got wilder and wilder for me. Like Christmas alligator alone is a concept I'm not familiar with. But
yeah, I mean that's not a common Florida tradition. That's just kind of a family thing.
Oh, okay, that's a Tomberlin thing. Fair enough.
But yeah, I really love the wildlife here in Florida. I really love the birds everywhere. They're constantly really cool birds in the yard. And yeah, and I love the alligators. The alligators are great to see. I'm always happy getting to see them outside.
Yeah, I've seen them a few times, and tried to keep my distance for sure. Anyway, we don't have any more time to talk about the weather. I know it's the, listeners' favorite part, but we do have to move on. Okay, so it is time to get into what is on the flagpole today. And VexHeads, the usual, we will get into the over and underrated flags, but maybe a little bit more than normal. We're going to talk about some flag tournaments and what has been trending in the online Vex world. Alex is going to quiz me on the very show itself, and we will take stock of where the show started, how far it's come, all the weird little quirks along the way. And for the patrons, we will debut a little game that I debuted at Nava57 and kind of wrap up that way. But first, before we get to any of that, Alex, I do like to ask my guests, what is the flag that got you into flags in the first place?
Yeah, probably the flag that got me into flags, I'd say, is the Canadian flag. And like the American flag, I feel like is so common when you're young, you don't even think about it. But the Canadian flag, I made me feel kind of differently. I don't know if this has happened with a lot of people, but to me, when I was young, Canada kind of felt like this mythical place because it's Canada's kind of like it feels like an alternate universe where most things are the same, but there's some small differences. So it's kind
Yeah.
of so when you're young and you go there, and then you see words spelt differently, and people use different words for everything, but everything else just seems like America. So yeah, it kind of feels like this strange alternate world. So I had kind of an interest in Canada when I was younger.
Mhm.
So yeah, and that interest was connected to the flag as well because I really like the Canadian flag. It's a very simple design, but it definitely works. And simple oftentimes is really good in flag design. I think Canada
Yep.
is one of the better national flags. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
my feelings towards Canada when I was younger did help influence my interest in flags today.
Now, did you like take a trip to Canada when you were a little bit younger,
Yes,
or
I
because
did.
I
My first
was
time in
gonna,
Canada, I've been there multiple times, but my first time I went up to Niagara Falls when I was very young,
okay,
and we
right, yeah,
continued going up there every few years. And and yeah, and but yeah, it's kind of funny how I thought of it because like when you're young, you think, oh, America has all these problems. Canada is perfect. It doesn't have all these things. And when you get older, you realize, okay, maybe that's not true. Maybe
yeah,
Canada isn't
yeah.
perfect. But yeah, it's when you're young and you're yeah, I was a bit naive when I was younger for my feelings towards Canada.
Well, yeah, I mean, like everybody, you see like the flag has just like a leaf on it, and like there's Mounties and like Dudley Do Right and stuff. I don't know, that might have missed you. That might have been too old for you, but like, and like, yeah, it all seems like kind of like you said, like America Light or like America, but like a little bit sillier, quirkier, whatever way you want to put it.
Yeah, it's silly,
Um,
polite version of America.
yeah, yeah. Then you get older, and then you start reading history, and like, I mean, shoot, like a lot of not the stuff that's come out recently, but at least a lot of the stuff that like I've learned recently, and I guess you've learned recently. But yeah, it's not all roses up there, despite the rose on the Montreal flag. But yeah, it's a definitely a good flag. Like I think it's good enough. Like it's cool enough that it has like a like Canadian Pale, like a term ascribed to it specifically. That like I mean, like, what other terms? Like, we've got like tricolors and tribands and other stuff. But Canadian Pale is like one of the few that has like the actual name of the place it originated in kind of the design term for it. Which I
Yeah,
think,
I can't
yeah,
think
like
of
you said,
anything.
it's very cool. It's very simple in a good way. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like if it wasn't for I feel like uh, the flag really and like in Canada itself, they do a really good job of incorporating the flag into everything. I feel like even the logo of
yes,
McDonald's up there has a maple leaf on it.
yeah,
They just throw it into they put it everywhere, which I think I really like having these symbols that are influenced with everything, which you see in a lot of in like places like California and like of course Quebec has its own flag that it obsesses over. But yeah, I love
mhm,
seeing these flags incorporated in everything, and Canada does a really good job of that.
yeah, yeah. No argument here. Yeah, you even see like that maple leaf. You know exactly what it is. All right, great. So, let's go. We got a lot on the flagpole today, so we got to kind of move on into. Would you rather do your over or underrated first?
I think I'll do my overrated first because I'm not sure if this will be a controversial one or not.
We'll see.
I'm not sure. But my overrated flag, I'd say, is probably the white, red, whites Belarusian flag. Uh, and this might be kind of controversial because represents the current flag of Belarus represents like kind of a dictatorship, and it has a complicated and controversial history to it. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I don't dislike the 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 triband flag of Belarus.
Mhm.
I actually like it, but the reason why I put it as overrated is just because I like the current flag way better.
Okay.
Belarus, I think Belarus, I really like its flag, and like I said, I understand its controversial history to it and its connection to the to back when Belarus was part of the Soviet Union. But I really like one thing that I like about flags is I like when they reference traditional designs in the flags, and I think that the flag of Belarus does a good job of doing that, of incorporating that pattern. And a lot of like Turkmenistan also does that, but I think it doesn't do it anywhere as well as Belarus.
Yeah.
So I think
in a way that like Turkmenistan is overly complicated, or in what kind of direction?
I mean, yes, one thing, it's overly complicated, and two, I don't really like the choice of colors in it as much. I think it's not terrible, but it's a little bit ugly and
well, this is the Christmas episode, so you got to get like that red, white, and green flag in there. You know,
yeah, it does seem kind of Christmassy. But I just really like that pattern. And some say, oh, it's overly complicated, but like I think that simple and complicated flags both have their places in flag design. I don't think that, although like you don't want your flag to be too complicated, I think flags with a lot of detail have their place in the flag world as well. I think both can be very good. But like I said, the tri-band Belarus flag, I don't think that's a bad flag. If Lukashenko ever gets overthrown or something and Belarus becomes a republic, I assume they're going to go back to that flag. And yeah, things would obviously be better if that happened. But I'd be disappointed that a flag I really like would no longer be in use. But yeah, I understand the controversial history to it. I have seen some redesigns and proposals for a new flag of Belarus that kind of takes influence from both. Like there's one that I really liked that has the tri-band, but it also has like a traditional pattern going down it, and then it has like a shield in the middle of, like, it's the former coat of arms of Belarus.
Yeah, I know that one. I'll probably put it up in the video here.
Yeah, I really like that flag. It is very complicated, and some people wouldn't like it for that, but I think it does a really good job of removing these ties to like Belarus's communist history and also the current Lukashenko regime, while also keeping traditional patterns in it. So I think that's I think that's a good combination. But like I said, I don't think that's a bad flag. I don't dislike it, even if I do think it's a little bit overrated maybe. And it's not like it's one of those flags you hear people talking about like, oh, that's one of the best flags ever. So I guess it's not really rated that highly. But that's what I chose for mine.
Well, yeah, no, totally. I have a I guess it's not super interesting, but like a relationship with that flag. I think it was the first flag I ever bought from Flags for Good. And I think I bought it at the same time as the white, blue, white, the Russian flag. For peace, like instead of like whatever Putin is doing. And like, yeah, I don't know. I do really like the design. I don't know why. I couldn't like explain to you, like, it may be like more of an emotional connection to it and to like what it represents than the actual design. Because I do agree with you, like the design of the Belarusian one is very cool. And I've always thought that the like can it be reproduced by a 10-year-old kind of thing was like a little bit like, I don't know what the word is, but like maybe a little bit overblown. Because I think if someone can reproduce it to the point where I can tell what it is, you're not going to get every little stitch and fabric piece right. But if I can tell what it is, it's got the green, the red in the right place, and it's got like roughly, a halfway decent like design on the left. Like I know what you mean about like, I mean, former Soviet republics alone, like you mentioned Turkmenistan, but also like Kazakhstan, it's not quite the same. It's not a carpet goal thing, but like it is a somewhat elaborate design down the hoist side. And like, yeah, I think there's something to that. Like I've always liked the Kazakh flag for, I think, similar reasons that you like this one.
Yeah, I like Kazakhstan's flag even more than Belarus. It has a really good design.
You just think that Belarus's has got like a word, or the white, red, white.
I just chose it because I think it's better than the other proposal. But
what do you? I'm curious. What do you think of the? I'm sure you've seen the white, red, white with black fimbriation on the red. Any thoughts on that one, or have you seen it?
I don't know if I've seen that one. I might have, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it looks like about like you would think, but unless it's like right in front of you, it is hard to kind of form an opinion on it, I guess.
But yeah,
But it's very similar. I don't know if the black represents anything specifically different than the white, red, white does, but it's it looks different enough that it's kind of worth looking at. But anyway, okay, so yeah, that's a different like overrated than we've had before, and like honestly a little bit of a breath of fresh air because we don't normally go into especially like non-official or past flags too much. But yeah, that's a interesting take that I don't know if I entirely agree with, but I like where your head's at. I kind of like both. I like the white, red, white. I like the current one. Like it is unfortunate that it's tied to the politics that it is, but it's also got that pattern that nominally shouldn't be tied to politics. It happens to be, but is just like a traditional kind of like dress or like embroidery pattern thing.
Yeah,
so.
And again, I do like the white, red, white flag, even if it's kind of like an inverted Austria. But yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I see why people like it. It's a simple design, but tri-bands and tricolors are popular for a reason. They're simple. Yeah, these such simple flags can still convey, despite its simplicity, you can like people feel very strongly about it because of its political connotations.
Yeah.
So, and I understand why it's so popular. And it's interesting seeing how it influenced like the Russian opposition, like with the white-blue lights, because the Russian one's very clearly influenced by Belarusian one.
Yeah, it's not an accident that I got both of those on the same day from like Flags for Good. Yeah, like for one, yeah.
Yeah, and if you really look at the flag itself, the white, red, white flag has I'm pretty sure has way more history than it has its origins.
It has a longer history. The government in exile during the Great Patriotic War, as the Soviets would put it. World War II, yeah, like they kept that up for a long time. I think maybe they were even the ones that put like the little black fimbriation on it at an eventual point. But yeah, there is still a Belarusian government in exile that I think is headquartered in like New York City or somewhere now. It's somewhere in the U.S. It wasn't always, but and they've kind of they've kept that flag for the continuation of that. But they're not recognized by anyone.
Yeah, but yeah, I definitely see the benefits in both flags, and I like both flags. And if the government was overthrown and that flag was put in place, I definitely wouldn't be angry. I'd be like, I'd be happy that happened, but I'd be a little disappointed the flag I liked is gone.
Right. Yeah. Ideal scenario, like, yeah, government is overthrown, replaced, whatever. Something better moves in. It can't hardly be worse. And then maybe like 10 years down the line, they're like, you know what? We did like that red and green. And maybe they move back to it after the connotations are somewhat, well, I don't know. But anyway, all right. So that is your overrated. Let's go into your underrated. And curious to see what this could be.
My underrated flag is one I think the vast majority of people, even people who are really into flags, have probably never heard of before. It's a much more local flag that I never hear anyone talk about. And that is the flag of Tavares, Florida. Yeah, so...
How am I spelling it? Because I got to look it up.
Tavares. And
right.
it's so not well known that it's not even on the Wikipedia page. You have to go on Flags of the World, I guess, to find it. That's the only place I've been able to find it online.
Okay, is it this seaplane, for lack of a better...
Yeah, seaplane. Blue.
Okay.
Blue with I guess I should describe it here. Let me find a better image.
Yeah. Describe it to the listeners, but yeah, I've got it pulled up on mine, and it will be in the video version.
Okay, so it's a blue background, and then there's a white silhouette of a seaplane on it, and you can see some white waves going off the side. Yeah, and the reason... So yeah, this flag, I feel a bit of a connection because I live relatively close to Tavares. And yeah, it's not like I don't live right at it, but it's somewhere that I've been to a few times. I've been there multiple times before. And the thing about Florida city flags is there aren't very many good ones. There are some good Florida city flags out there, but the vast majority are complete garbage.
Yeah.
I feel like Florida, especially for its population being the third largest state in the country.
What?
And yeah, it's higher than New York.
There's no way that's...
Yeah, Florida's population, what is it, like 20 million? Let me look it up.
Wow, okay.
21.78 million. Yeah, so it's only below California and Texas.
Yep.
And if you look at if you look at Florida's population, it has more people than most of the countries in the world, I'm pretty sure. Especially if you look at Europe, most of the countries in Europe have fewer people than Florida. So it seems like it's really weird to think about. That's one thing that being from the US, you don't think about much. You don't think one state in this country has more people than a lot of countries. So it's very strange to think about.
Yeah.
So, see, if you look at Florida, you're like, well, if you look at a much smaller country, like you look at the Czech Republic, Czechia. If you look at Czechia and you see, while they have like, obviously it's been talked about in previous episodes, but like there's so many amazing flags in that country, but it only has half the amount of people that Florida does, and Florida can only have like a handful of decent flags. Like I could count the amount of flags in Florida. Yeah, if I count all the flags in Florida that I actually think are good, there's only like I could count them on one hand probably.
Yeah.
So it's kind of kind of embarrassing. I mean, I guess you wouldn't expect better out of Florida, considering it's Florida. But you'd at least. I hope that someday there are some better ones. And there. It's not like there aren't some new flags coming out that are pretty good. Like Orlando's new flag is only a few years old, and I think it has a pretty cool design. And yeah, there's some other new ones that have come out more recently, but yeah, Tavares I wanted to talk about just because it's such a little known flag. I don't think it's the best flag ever. It's not my favorite, but I think it's cool, and I feel a personal connection to it. And I think Tavares, yeah, and the reason why it has a seaplane, Tavares is known as I think it's known as America's Seaplane City because it's so well known for its seaplanes. It has a huge culture around there related to seaplanes, and you see seaplanes on everything. You see it on their logos, you see it on signs, you see it everywhere. So it's kind of like, I guess it's basically like the U.S. capital of seaplanes or something like that.
Yeah, I guess. I've never heard of it, and
it's not a well-known place. It's not huge or anything. It's pretty small. I mean, it's not small, but it's not huge.
Because sometimes, like, we get like comments, like listener comments and stuff about like, well, how can a flag be underrated if it's just not rated? And I feel like this is like definitely a candidate for that. I'm not saying it's a bad flag. It's just that I've never seen it, and I doubt anyone outside of Florida has.
Yeah, that's why I decided.
I was going to say, maybe that's why you're bringing it up, is so that people outside of Florida do hear about this one and, make their own minds up.
And I think that in Florida, probably most people don't know about it either, because Tavares isn't like this super well-known city or anything.
Is it even like the seat of Lake County, or is it just like a small
county seat? It's the county seat of Lake County.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just thought like, and Tavares has some pretty cool things there that integrate the flag into it. Like the city logo is based on the flag, and so it has the same seaplane-like design. And I even saw this really cool bench when I was visiting Tavares that's in the shape of the same seaplane that is in the flag. So I thought that was very.
Oh, that would be. I can like picture what that would be like.
Yeah, I can send it to you later, and you can include it in the video. But it's very cool. I wanted to get my hands on one of these because I think that'd be a pretty cool one to have. I contacted the city and asked, is there any way to get one of these flags? And they said, oh yeah, there's a shop you can go to. So I went there and I went to the person. I'm like, hey, I was wondering if you sold the city flag anywhere. And he had a big city flag in front of the building. So I went in, and then he's like, oh yeah, here we have it. And he pointed to like a little tiny flag, but it wasn't the city flag. It was a white flag. It had the plane on it, and then it said City of Tavares on it. So it was like kind of like just the city logo on a white background on a bed sheet. So I asked like, well, is there like the official city flag, like the blue one? And he said, oh you can only get those if you get one like custom made, and it costs like $160 or something. So
Well,
yeah, maybe there's an easier way to get it, but yeah, it's that apparently that the ones that the city has, like in front of those buildings and stuff like that, and there's one in front of a museum and everything. They have the flag, but you don't really see it that much in the town outside of those few places and these government buildings and like the museum and that shop, because it's so expensive to get your hands on it.
yeah.
If it was more easily accessible, then maybe more people would have it in the town. But I don't see that many people flying it there, unfortunately, and I wish that more people in Tavares would know about it. And yeah, and like I said, I don't think it's an amazing flag. It could probably be improved, but for a small town in Florida, I think that's the best you can get. So yeah,
To me,
especially
like, yeah, I mean, like, absolutely.
and
To me, it
especially
does
because
look like, all right, so I understand how it's a seaplane like landing, and like that thing is supposed to be part of the propeller, but it looks like a bird water skiing to me.
yeah, I can see
Like
that.
the part that's supposed to be the propeller looks a little bit like a beak, and then the part on the end looks like an eye, and then he's doing like some sick ass, like, I don't know if he's doing a trick or if he's just like about to, but like, I don't know. I mean, but honestly, to your point, that almost makes it cooler to me. Like,
Yeah,
not
and
worse. That makes it better, if anything. So yeah, I
in my
think this is
personal
something that folks should like pick up and like run with and yeah, recognize for sure.
especially because it reflects a lot about the city's identity, because it's best known for its seaplanes. It makes a lot of sense it has a seaplane on its flag.
Yeah, and it's birds that water ski.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
would imagine anyway.
yeah, I wish that you could. And the only image of it I've seen it in person. The only image I can find of it outside is that one from Flags of the World, and it's not even a high quality image. It's just a GIF version of it, and it's super low quality and pixely.
Yeah, I see
I
that.
couldn't find any. What is it called? An SVG. I couldn't find any of those versions of it. A vector,
Oh,
the vector
page
version
not
of it anywhere. Definitely not one on Wikipedia. Uh, yeah, so unfortunately, you can't really find it online anywhere better than that. I can't find it on any of the government websites either. So there's really no proof on the internet I can find that it exists. I know it exists. I've seen it. I've seen it on
You're gonna have
government
to
buildings in the city.
go back there and yeah, make your own
Yeah,
proof.
yeah. But
I think so.
yeah, I don't really know how to make any vector graphics or anything, so I'm not really up to the task. But yeah, I
Well,
think it definitely deserves to be. My One of my philosophies on flag design is that when a place has hardly any people and it's in a small town that you would never expect to have a good flag, even if it just has kind of an okay flag, I'll be a lot more accepting of it than the
yeah.
because like when do you see like how many
See
people do
Slater,
Tavares?
Iowa.
Yeah. Yeah, like Tavares' population is
10.
19,000.
Oh,
So somewhere with 19,000 people, you generally wouldn't expect to have a good flag. There are definitely good ones out there, especially in you like how in Czechia you can have a village of 100 people and it'll have one of the best flags ever or something like that. But
well, go on. Sorry.
but yeah, yeah, in the U.S. especially, small towns and cities do not have very good flags. So
No.
if one has a halfway decent one, I'm a lot more accepting of it.
Yeah, not typically. Do you remember, and this is like not part of the official game or whatever, but this is me quizzing you briefly. Do you remember which guest it was that said, maybe not every city needs to have a flag?
I can remember it being said, but I'm having trouble remembering who was the one who said it.
It's popping out to me just basically because of this conversation. So.
Yeah, and my personal philosophy on flag design, I disagree because I love flags so much.
It was a comedian for what it's worth, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my personal opinion on flags is I think the more flags, the better, even if it's I'm always going to be happy for more flags. Even if you choose some middle of nowhere city with no identity, like you go to some city in the middle of Iowa with 2,000 people, it's probably not going to have a very distinct identity unless it has some sort of famous event that happened there. And I'd still be happy if it had its own flag, though. And like
I think one of them was Iowa.
Yeah, and there have also been places that have been like suburbs of cities that are kind of just identities tied to the bigger cities itself.
Yeah, for sure.
But they've had really good flags too. Like, didn't you say Riverside was just a suburb?
Riverside, California has a good one.
Yeah, isn't it just a suburb of Los Angeles? Did you say, or am I thinking of something else?
I mean, I think Riverside. Well, I don't know if it's a suburb of LA. It's it might be. It's hard to tell what's a fucking suburb out there, to be totally honest, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I went to LA once, and I was like, and everything seemed both so close and so far away.
Yeah,
and that was only 3 months ago, but
yeah, it's apparently part of the greater Los Angeles area, but it's like 50 miles from Los Angeles, so it's not really a suburb. But the Los Angeles area is so big, it kind of combines everything together in it. So that's what happens when you get into these two places.
No, I just got this flag from Flags for Good, actually.
Yeah, Riverside has a really cool flag. Yeah, I definitely say that one's underrated. Although it was rated top 20. Although, wasn't it rated like 20th? It definitely deserved higher than that.
Yeah.
In the Nava poll. I remember in the episode you discussed it, you talk about, why did this get 20th? It definitely deserved higher than that. And I do agree. There were some other flags on the list. I'm like, why did that get higher than that one?
No idea. Yeah, that is one that I thought should have got higher. But anyway, all right. So we have got to move into the next segment. But before we do that, I think it's a good time to take a little brief break here for some capitalism and maybe some pee breaks. Be right back. Okay, and that is us back from break. And before we move on too much more, Alex, I feel like you had a couple questions that you wanted to ask me. So, I don't know. I guess I'll throw to you and go ahead.
Yeah, so because this episode is celebrating the show as a whole, it would be a really good idea to, I think it'd be really good to ask you what your underrated and overrated flags are, because despite there being so many episodes, you've never given your own answer for this. So I think it would be, so which would you like to answer first?
Yeah, nobody has ever asked me this, ever. I think I will go into my, I'd like to talk about my overrated first, in fact. And my overrated, which for the listeners and viewers, I have not cued Alex in on, as he didn't for his, but my overrated is going to be the flag of Arizona. In my opinion, it's a good flag, but it is not a great flag. And I think it gets a lot more hype and a lot more love than it deserves, given that it's almost there for me. Like, the thing that I constantly say on Reddit and like elsewhere, like in the Discord, I mean, for that matter, is that it seems silly for me anyway to put a red yellow star, and I know read copper, but a red yellow star that's half encompassed by a red and yellow alternating like sunburst pattern, because I lose the top half of the star in that. The bottom half of the star is very visible. And that the copper and the blue works great, but I lose the top half of the star, and I think it gets a lot of praise that it does not deserve. If the star were and I know it's the copper state, whatever. It's that color for a reason, but I just feel like it would stand out better if it were silver or white or something else, or fimbriated. I don't know. Anyway, that's fine.
I definitely see why. I like Arizona's flag, but I do agree the contrast isn't great on the colors, and it could be better. It's still in my minimum top 10, possibly top 5 state flags. I made a tier list a while back. I have to go back and see where I put it, but I put it at least in A tier, possibly S tier. But I do agree the contrast isn't great, so it puts a step below than I would be putting it if the contrast was a little bit better. Like maybe the star could be a different color, and I understand the symbolism of copper, but yeah, like you said, maybe fimbriation. I've seen some redesigns people have made. They put fimbriation around it, and I think that does help. So, but it does seem to be a pretty popular flag in Arizona, so I don't see them changing it anytime soon. And
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it needs changing. I just think it would be better with a little bit better contrast.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I said most of my piece on that, but like pretty much, like I feel like it's a great idea, not even poorly executed, but a great idea, like middlingly executed. And I just think they could do a little bit better. And honestly, I think if they did a little bit better, like if they did it convincingly, and I guess convincingly is the operative word here, so it's almost meaningless, but like if they did it convincingly, I feel like they could convince the rest of Arizona to be like, okay, well, this isn't a huge change. Like we still get it's more or less the same. We're just changing like a color slightly or whatever. Which states have done. I mean, Mississippi changed the red and blue on their flag, I think, like twice before they changed it to a non-racist one. But like they changed, like the colors, and like there wasn't a whole big like hubbub about it. Now, granted, those are like shades rather than completely changing the color, so I could understand there may be a little bit more fuss about it, but I don't know, man. Get Nevada to give up the Silver State nickname, and you become the Silver State, and maybe there's a silver star there, and maybe I think it's top 5. I don't know. But you're right. I mean, you're totally right. Like I would still, even like given everything that I just said, I would still probably put it top 10. But I think that says more about the abysmal state of U.S. state flags, no pun intended, than the strength of that one in particular. To me, anyway. And
Yeah,
that's
I
my
thought you were going to say Maryland is yours, though.
I was going to say Maryland, but it's almost too on brand, and I figure people already know how I feel about Maryland's flag. Granted, you obviously know, or you wouldn't have worn this terrible shirt that I hate. Like, Evan, yeah, like there's a lot of people that know how I feel about the Maryland flag and feel very opposite. So I thought it was a little bit too on the nose to do that one. Figured I'd pick a different one.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, what would you say is the most underrated flag?
Oh my goodness, the questions keep coming. Well, since you asked, Alex, I think my most underrated flag, and I went through this like all day and all of yesterday, because for the behind the scenes, we were supposed to record yesterday. There were some tech issues. Doesn't matter. I went through a few different ones trying to think of this. And the one that I came out with, which I think may have been influenced by a recent Flags for Good delivery to my place, was the flag of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Now, I've got that one right here. Granted, it's hard to see on like the vertical screen. But more or less, there is a sun in Canton, whatever you call it. And then it is not quite bisected because the things go up as you get to the hoist side, but red bottom, blue top. Like I said, sun in Canton. There's 3 white stripes, 2 blues in the middle. And this flag, I mean, the viewers will see it, but the listeners, look up Sioux Falls. It is gorgeous to me. I don't know why this one doesn't get more shine. I had it in the flag session tournament, the most recent one for like sub-national flags, because I was like, well, this is probably one that not enough people know, but once they do see it and get to know it, oh, people have got to vote for this thing. But I was wrong. And that one crashed out, not first round, but like fairly early. But I just think it's gorgeous. It's so Sioux Falls. I mean, if you look at it, like I said, for the viewers, like you can see like going from like hoist to fly to hoist side. Sorry. There are falls going down, the Sioux Falls in question. There is I forget how many pointed star, but it's representative of like indigenous folks, I believe. I believe it is. And yeah, I don't know, just like the colors are gorgeous. Like I like the individual blue and red that they used for this. I usually am a fan of more dark blue and reds. Like for example, like the French flag as it is now versus the French flag before Macron like arbitrarily changed it, I guess. But Yeah, in this case, I really like the kind of like vibrant blue and red. I like the symbolism of the falls, and it's one of those that seeing it on a computer screen does not do it justice. Like, I can't use it for fresh flags now since I'm talking about it on here and everything else, but it will be out on the flagpole soon enough, and I will post the video because it just looks too good out there not to. And yeah, I think that's my under.
Yeah, and I think I agree. It's a very good flag design, and even though it reached one of the top 20 in the Navis survey, I don't hear anyone. I rarely hear people talk about it, especially compared to some of the other flags on the list.
Yeah,
and I think it deserves a lot better. I've heard some criticism of kind of like the placement of things, like it kind of seems like placed weirdly, like the waterfall going up the side and the sun up there. But I don't have any problem with how it's placed. I think it looks really good. And one thing that I already did like it beforehand, but one thing that kind of made me like it even more, when I realized the sun on the flag looks a lot like the sun from the flag of South Dakota.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, and that really, after I realized that kind of made it click for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
And even the blue, well,
I personally like it when city flags take inspiration from their state flags. I like the influence between the two. So I think I really like that design, and I think I think I agree that's underrated. I think it deserves some more praise.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, it was top at least top 20, or did you say top 10? I forget, but yeah, I mean, I think it's better than, and this is coming from somebody who loves like any Art Deco aesthetic, like Rockefeller Plaza, Chef's Kiss, like wisdom and knowledge shall be the whatever of our times. Like, I don't know, Art Deco stuff like gets me and I get it, but I think this is better than Lincoln, Nebraska. And Lincoln, Nebraska's is like exclusive. It's like the Art Deco flag, pretty much. Yeah, and for me to say that I like a flag better than anything Art Deco ever, maybe not anything ever, but any Art Deco flag ever, which I guess is like the one. But yeah, like when I was ordering from Flags for Good, I had to have this one. And there were, you know, ones that have been voted higher and like objectively are better or whatever that I passed by. I was like, I don't really care for that. I want Sioux Falls. So yeah, I think that's going to be my underrated, at least this go around. All right, so that seems like a good place to go ahead and stop talking about me and get into your flag tournaments that you do on Tumblr. So for the folks in the Discord, they very much know what these are because you post them in there like fairly frequently, and we always vote on them. We always have like notes for like, you know, how other folks are voting. But for those that are not part of the Discord or not, you know, as close into the community, how would you kind of broad strokes explain these competitions?
Yeah, so basically, I'll give a little bit of background first. Tumblr as a website is kind of past its prime social media sites. It's a lot smaller than it used to be, but still has a decent fan base. I mean, a decently sized fan base, and there's still a lot of people on there, just not anywhere in comparison to what it used to be. But anyway, and yeah, for social media websites, it's despite some toxicity going on in there, it's a lot less toxic than something like Twitter. So, yeah, which is why a lot of people prefer it to Twitter. Mm-hmm. So anyway, earlier this year, I'm pretty sure it was, they added polls to Tumblr, and this created a wave of people making tournament accounts to have tournaments for different things. Like a lot of ones were like character tournaments. Lots of character tournaments for like people's favorite shows and everything like that. So after seeing that, it kind of gave me the idea, like I already do love flags, but I realized one thing that kind of made me want to do this is that I thought it'd be a good way to expose people to flags they've never heard of before. Because and I'm happy to, a lot of the people on here, well, I know, hearing about from some of my followers are really into flags like me, but a lot of them aren't really that into flags. They just like voting in polls.
That's clear, I think.
Yeah, so I think that I think that this does a good job of getting other people interested in flags. Well, I mean, maybe I don't know how much it gets people into flags, but I don't really know how much it's actually working. But I want to have a way to expand people's interest in flags. So my first tournament. So originally it was just meant to be one tournament. I didn't really have longer plans, but I had the tournament. I just call it Flag Wars, which is the name of the account. And so this was it might be my largest tournament. Might have been my largest tournament. Maybe one of my later ones was bigger, but yeah, this tournament was very big. I had a preliminary round where there were There were at least 150 flags in it, I think.
Okay, so tournament, we're talking like brackets, like all of it, right?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, right. And so there were a lot of flags, and in order to make sure it doesn't go on forever, I had the prelims. I had like 10 flags each in each one, or something like that. So that way it wouldn't go on forever. If I just had 2 in each bracket, 2 in each bracket, and kept going on and on and on.
Fair.
So I in the first tournament. Different tournaments I do it differently. In the first tournament, I let people submit any flag they wanted, and any flag they submit gets into the competition unless it's something like super offensive.
Okay, so was that one like? Was I in that one? Was
before I started? Okay. This was in when was it? February maybe.
But you didn't have it like you didn't do like a specifically subnational or ones with dragons or ones with it was just like whatever flag you want to submit, you can submit it and have folks so that's like the genesis of all this.
So that was before I started doing themed tournaments like I do now. So this was before I joined the Discord and before I started listening to this podcast. So this, I think it was February or something like that. So that's when I started the first one. And interestingly, my first one I think was the most popular one. I guess because even though I have way more followers now than I had back then, I think that the Tumblr tournament craze got pretty big on the website. So I think more people were interested in them than they are now.
Yeah.
But a lot of people. Yeah, I got a lot of likes, a lot of and a lot of votes on a lot of my polls. A lot more. I got a lot more people voting on my polls than I do now. Because nowadays my polls, some of them get popular, but usually they're between 100 and 200 people voting on each poll. And some of them get higher if one kind of breaches my followers, and it's like someone with quite a few followers reblogs it, and then a lot of people see it. It tends to get bigger. But most of the time they tend to be in quite a kind of a small range of people actually voting in them. But yeah, my early tournament, I had multiple polls where thousands of people were voting in them and stuff like that. So that one was a lot bigger than my others. But anyway, so that's when you start to see some early trends of what people like, because polls, you start to see a lot of the trends of people really like flags with animals in them on Tumblr.
Okay.
So any flag with animals has an advantage. Pride flags, like Tumblr has a large queer following, so it makes sense pride flags do very well in tournaments. So you can just see from what flags go from the prelims. There were a lot of pride flags, a lot of animal flags. So just to skip to the finals of this tournament.
So the bear pride flag won, right?
No.
Considering it's both? Okay. No.
So the 2 finalists were the laser kiwi flag and the lesbian flag.
Oh, okay. And the current one or the one with the like axe?
The current one.
Okay,
Yeah, because of course there's the whole complicated history of that, but
with your listeners, I don't know, man. Like the axe one is totally on the table, or your followers, yeah.
Yeah, the axe one is pretty cool, but the most popular one on Tumblr is the one that's still most popular in other places too, the pink and orange one. So yeah, that's that one. Those 2 got to final. And let's see, what was the final scoring on the finals? I think I have that written down. Okay, maybe I don't have that written down, but it was pretty close. But it wasn't so close that one almost won, and the winner was Laser Kiwi. So yeah, that Laser Kiwi ended up winning the first tournament, and
that is a very internet thing to happen. I think. Yeah,
it definitely. I was surprised, but it kind of steamrolled its way through the competition. Like no flag could stand up against it. And some of them were really popular flags too. It easily defeated. So yeah, it's kind of a meme flag. So yeah, so because there's it's so much of a meme that I think people voted for it partly for meme reasons, partly because and it has an animal on it. That definitely benefits it. And yeah, so combined together the memes and the animal aspect and the fact that shooting lasers out of its eyes, that definitely helps. Made it get so high. And I remember someone posted on one of my, let me find what they said. Someone commented on one of my posts, a thing talking about what flags tend to do well. Let's see, where is it? Pride flags tend to do very well. Animal flags do very well. Let's see, let me try to find this comment itself, because I thought this was a very insightful comment. Here it is. Okay, I don't remember who sent it, but I'm quoting this. I've been a follower here pretty much since the beginning, and I've noticed some cool voting patterns among the folks who read this blog. They probably don't mean anything, but it's fun to notice these things. People seem to prefer interesting shapes, diagonals, and fun colors rather than stripes and bands. And the more normal sets of flag colors, such as red, gold, blue, white, and black, etc. It seems that there's a preference for novelty as well as for fun animals and memery. And they pointed out examples like why Brazil really easily defeated Portugal in a vote between them, because it has a lot more unique shapes compared to Portugal, and other things too. Like,
you give me a good rhombus, I'm not saying no to that.
And other things too. Like, a lot of people are motivated. Some people are motivated less by flag design and more of their feelings towards the country or things like that too. Which is why the American flag, the American flag always does badly. It never does well because Tumblr doesn't really have fun feelings towards it. So, and a lot of Vexology people aren't big fans of the flag either, for various design reasons. But yeah, it's funny seeing how like some of for fun I put one poll between the transgender flag and the American flag, and it was like a massive victory. Like it was like, what was it, like 96% of people voted for the transgender flag or something like that over the American flag. So it's really funny to see.
Yeah, it's interesting, enough to just doing this show and everything, and I'm sure as a listener too, people definitely have thoughts on the American flag, and especially if your audience does tend to skew, or maybe the Tumblr audience, writ large, tends to skew more toward pride flags. The transgender flag is one of the better pride flags, and the American flag is I'd guess a lot of your audience is American, and they, like you said when we're talking about the Canadian flag, you see it every day, you see it, it's whatever, but okay, what's the new hotness? Okay, I don't even have to be part of this community to know, I like that better, but yeah, it's interesting. Your audience, we pointed out a lot in the Discord, especially Christoph, I think, points it out more than anyone else, who's what are your followers what are they thinking, what are they doing? And it's well, pretty much everything you just said. It's they're not flag experts, they're not part of the Discord, they don't think the same way as us, they know what they like, and I think there's a lot to be said for that. And I'm not gonna rag on anybody else for knowing what they like visually or whatever, or even just trolling and being hey, this one's funnier. I don't know, I think that's still a tournament worth having, still a discussion worth having anyway.
And I've certainly gotten kind of angry at my followers. There's one time
we all have gotten angry at your followers.
Yeah, and one time, I don't remember what it was, but a flag was winning, and I was I think I remember now. It's for Evansville, the Evansville flag proposals. Because they're currently having the thing right now. I don't think they've decided yet, but for Evansville, Indiana, they're deciding what the flag is. And I put out not a tournament, but I put out a series of polls to decide which one people like the best. And the one that they voted for was the absolute worst one by far. It was, to describe it, it was kind of blue, white, and green or something like that, but it was in the shape of a river. So just a pattern of a river going down. And I was I thought about putting a comment at the end, like, if you vote for this flag, I'm deleting my account or something like that. But I ended up not doing it. But I was just confused. Like, why did this flag win? This was the worst. Pretty much any other flag I would have been happy with them voting for, except for this one.
Yeah.
That was the most confused I've ever been, I think, because just basically putting a map on a flag isn't very good. Oftentimes I'm kind of confused by the winners. But I understand why people vote for each one. Oftentimes, although that one I don't understand. But on most other occasions, even though I disagree with the results, I understand why. Because these people are casual flag fans, and some of them aren't even really that into flags at all. Like, I put out some polls to see, like, do you own a flag? And very few people say. The majority of people say. I mean, I think I put out one, like, do you own a flag? And it was. I think the majority of people said no, but it was pretty close because a lot of people on Tumblr would be owning pride flags. Yeah. I also put out a poll and I asked, do you own your country's flag? And then it was like a resounding no. It was yeah. And the reason, like, Tumblr is a very progressive website, and people on Tumblr tend to be very anti-nationalist, anti-patriotism. Sure. So, like, so the comments, people were like, there's no way I'm owning my country's flag. And like I saw one person say, like, if someone from Germany replied, if you own the German flag, I'm just going to assume you're racist.
Yeah. And it's like, different.
Yeah, and it is kind of unfortunate in some ways. Like obviously I'm not going to act like, oh, you should fly this flag and be super patriotic and everything. But some of these are really good flags, national flag designs. But like you've talked in previous episodes, it's a shame that people can't just fly their country's flag without people having these certain feelings about it.
Yeah.
People assuming you're a conservative, but like, for example, if I see someone on Twitter and they have an American flag in their bio, I know to stay away from them. So there's a reason why this concept exists, but it's a shame. People shouldn't have to be like, people who are progressive shouldn't be like, oh, I can't fly my country's flag or people will think I'm racist.
Right, no argument. That's part of why I like I mean, there are a million reasons that I like Tara Stark, but like that's one of them. And like she's really pushing against that and like actively pushing against that in pretty much all arenas that she can. And not just her. I mean, like a lot of us in the Discord too, like in our own kind of spheres, are pushing against that too. Because like, yeah, I would love to be able to fly the American flag because I am actually patriotic in the sense that I want to make this country the best that it can be. That to me is patriotism. And we don't have to go into a whole thing about it, but like the people that generally are flying it are the folks that are like, this country is either the best that it can be right now, or it was the best that it could be, 50, 60 years ago, or whatever. Like it's a look to now at the absolute latest, but more likely the past. And it's like, no, we don't, we need to bring it into the modern era. I mean, like you're saying, like Tara's saying, like, yeah, it's, it sucks. Like I want to wave that flag. I just like, I know who I'm going to be lumped in with if I do right now. And it's a process. It's a process. We have to like wave that flag at like rallies for different things. Like, I don't know. There's ways to reclaim it, but it's, we're not going to solve it like on this Christmas episode, probably. So. Anyway, but yeah. No, I love your tournaments, and I love like what they, I mean, not just what they reveal about like the general like voting public as far as like both folks who know and don't know flags, but also just like the way that you put them together in the first place. Because like you find like really interesting angles to like, I mean, some of them are like pretty boilerplate in the sense of like, okay, these are the Japanese prefectures. Let's tournament it down and figure out the best one. And that is incredibly valuable, I think. Even among like an audience that, especially the Japanese prefecture flags, I think, because like they're all a little, if we're going for the word boilerplate, like they're all somewhat similar in a way with a couple exceptions, but like you can really kind of distill down like what folks like in a flag with that. And then you do also like wild ones, like what's the best flag that features a dragon or
Mhm.
features like this animal, like, and there'll be flags from all, like, there's whales, but there's also ones from China, and there's ones from like uh previous ones from like, I don't know, Bhutan, Nepal, like flags from like everywhere, that it's based on just like, all right, what's the design that you like the best? And I think it's actually I think it's really interesting to hear from the broad general public on what they feel is the best among those things, rather than like the echo chamber that we're a lot of times kind of locked into, with not just like, I was talking to other flag nerds like VexHeads, but like, I mean, the Discord, like, too, like, you know, that's what I mean about the most common criticism is like, it's like your fans don't know what's up with flags, but it's like, and I do agree with that. But I also think that it's valuable research, because like this Minnesota stuff right now that's going down, like, the North Star has been in the running since, like, it's been in existence since 1989. And it was always a front runner. It was always like people have bought it and flown it on things, remixed it and flown those on things. And it's like a whole thing, but then you get in the common folks, and the same thing is going to happen in Maine. I'm afraid that the same thing is going to happen in Maine. I don't know that it will. Knock on fake wood. But like, it's not. It's worth investing like time and energy into, to see what like the common, quote unquote, I keep using that word, like non-Vex heads, basically what they're into, what they value, what they like in a flag, stuff like that, because like they tend to go completely different directions than the rest of us would. And I think we'd be remiss to totally excuse that. And I know that's what you're saying as well, but like, it's it's interesting. It's an interesting kind of foray, a little dip into the world of vexillology from non-vex heads. And that's, I think, what I like so much about your tournaments, is because a lot of the time when I vote for the one that I'm voting for, because it's Tumblr and it shows you immediately like what the, percentage and everything is, a lot of the time the one that I vote for is like the lowest. Or the, if it's a case of two, I'm the one that's pretty far down. Or sometimes not. Sometimes like good design is good design, and it shines through all the other nonsense. And like a lot of times I'm voting on ones that have like an 89-90% vote rate, and I'm like, okay, good, like 9 out of 10 of y'all recognize that this is just objectively, subjectively better. Like, I mean, Michael has been talking recently on some Flags for Good, like little shorts on TikTok and YouTube, about objective and subjective design as far as like flags and other things go. And I mean, I appreciate the hell out of what you do, man. Like,
Thank you.
It doesn't always get the results that like, those of us in the Discord or those of us in the Vex community would not just like, but like expect. But I almost think that's more interesting than if it was just always getting the one that we would expect to win. Like, you're shining a light on a place where it's not usually shown, and I think that's much to both your credit and like the community's credit too.
Yeah, and I kind of wish there was a way to get more of like just the Vex head perspective at times. Like, let's say like this was a tournament and like only like NAVA members were voting in it or something like that. I'd like to see that as well, because I know the results would be very different, but obviously that's not possible for me to do. But like you said, there is value in this, and if I'm just showing this to NAVA members, a lot more of them will know what the flags are than people on Tumblr. So I do want to help educate these. I want to help educate more people on flags.
Yeah.
So I do consider it kind of educational in a way. And additionally, and sometimes I use some really obscure flags that even a lot of people who are really into a lot of real Vex heads don't know about. Yeah. Some I didn't know about until I was just
There's frequently ones that I've never seen. Yeah.
And like to find flags to make in polls, if I'd probably spend way too much time just like scouring Wikipedia looking for obscure flags and stuff like that, because I have a list of we talked about, we have the tournaments, but I also have a lot of bonus rounds, which are individual polls that aren't tied to any tournament. They're just which flag is better, just to see what people like better. And most of the polls I do are I've been doing a lot of tournaments, but in between and even in between tournaments and even like at the same time, I'll be doing bonus rounds. And I have like a very long list of future tournaments, of future just regular polls, hundreds of options for just polls of between flags. Because I would just like scour. I looked up every single, like for example, I'd look up like every single Russian city flag. And I'd be like, oh, this one would be good in a poll. This one would be good in a poll.
Yeah.
Then I have to think about which one I'm going to put it up against. Usually, when I put two flags against each other on a poll, there's some sort of similarity between them. There's usually either they have similar colors, they might have maybe both have an eagle on them or something like that. Or sometimes I'll just do it like, oh, both of these. Sometimes it'll be that. Sometimes it'll be more of a connection. Like I'll put, for example, I might put like the current flag of a country and its former flag or something like that. I've done a lot of those, and then I also have various polls that are between different. Sometimes I like Japanese prefectures. I made a whole tournament out of, but sometimes when there aren't enough to make a full tournament out of, or I just decide it doesn't need a tournament, I'll just do a series of normal polls to put them up against each other to find the best. I don't know, like English county, the best French region. I've done a lot of those for just individual countries to find the best subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, like my plan is to use all of those results to find the best for each country, or maybe not the best, but the Tumblr a favorite, one from each country. And then I'm going to make that into the regional flag wars between all these subdivisions, with one for each country. And so that's going to be a pretty big tournament. I still have to go through some more countries before it'll be available, but maybe a month or two it'll be ready to do that one.
Okay, so we can expect that like early-ish next year, first fiscal quarter of next year.
Probably January or February. I'll be doing that one. That one's going to be a longer tournament, and I'm probably gonna make it a lot longer than my usual tournaments, just because there's so many countries. I'm not using every country because a lot of countries don't have any good subnational flags. So I don't want to take up too much space in it just to have a country and every single one of its subdivisions is just like the logo.
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm going through everything that at minimum has decent flags and making polls for it. And just I think it'd be good to briefly go over some more briefly go over each of the tournaments and which flag won, if it's not going to take up too much time.
Yeah, sure. Go into it.
So my second tournament was the worst flag wars. It had a lot fewer flags in it. I'm pretty sure it only had 32 flags in this one because I didn't want this one to be super long like the previous flag wars. And most of these flags were chosen by me, but I also said like, if there are any flags you want to suggest, just tell me in the comments. And I didn't, for the first tournament, I put out a Google form where people could submit it. So I got a lot more in there than I would on here, just in the comments. Because when it's just in the comments, I only got a few. But anyway, the worst flag wars, that was my second tournament. The winner of it was the flag of Brown County, Nebraska. And Brown County has I think that's kind of a fitting one to win because it's a really bad flag. It's I guess I should try to describe it because it's one that probably no one knows about. Its flag isn't good. So it's kind of it's in the shape of the county, so it's kind of like a square but with a curved top, and it's complete color of brown. It looks like it was made by an elementary school. Brown County on the left. On the right, it says 1883, and then it has a little windmill, some cows, and a map of the cities in the county, and then some badly drawn trees. Looks like it was made in MS Paint or something.
Go into the. I mean, I'll. Worth noting that the font for the towns is Comic Sans.
So I think that's a very fitting one to win it. Personally, I was rooting for Little Havana.
Little Havana's so good. I mean, it's not, but it's so good.
Yeah, like Little Havana. I don't even need to look that one is hilarious, and like it's hilarious. But someone pointed in the comments, even though I was rooting for Little Havana, someone in the comments pointed out the reason why they thought this one won, and they point out like Little Havana looks cool. It's an awful flag, but if you saw a mural with that on it, you'd be like, oh, that's a cool mural. If you saw this on the wall, if you saw this as a mural, you'd be like, did a child draw this?
Yeah, you'd be upset.
You wouldn't be very happy to run into this.
No. It doesn't matter. It's not worth going.
And but the finals for the worst flag wars were between this and the former flag of Pocatello. And it was a pretty close matchup, I think. But yeah, this one won in the end as well. I guess it didn't win because it's for the worst flag, so I guess it lost kind of. But yeah,
I guess flag of Pocatello was in the running for my most overrated. But anyway.
Yeah, so next Flag Wars, I decided to do something very different. Something a lot different from my previous one, and that was called the People's Flag Wars. And in this tournament, I made it open.
So they were all like communist, democratic, People's Republic?
In this tournament, and I had anyone submit a flag that they made. So yeah, you had to design this flag yourself, and it can be any type of flag. Just
I remember this one.
Yeah, flag read, and well, I did 2 of these. This is the first one. The first one was as various. A lot of people in the Discord submitted flags. So of course, like the Keystone flag was there, and of course you submitted the flag for content, and it got what, like into the second or third round maybe.
It beat something, but I think it only beat the thing because the other thing was like pretty questionable.
Yeah, and one thing about how I do the tournaments, I don't know if this is kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say morally questionable, but something I do to kind of end the tournaments is that the way I organize the brackets, I do it so the flags I like will be in kind of better places. So I kind of put them against, if there's a flag I think is good, I don't want 2 really good flags to kick each other out in the beginning and be like, well, that one could have gotten farther. So you try to put better flags against less good flags in the first round so that you get the more climactic battles closer to the end.
I mean, at the end of the day, that is pretty much how like seeding works. So
I try to seed them. Sometimes when there are too many flags in a tournament, I'm like, okay, that's too many for me to seed. I'll just randomize the order. And generally for these tournaments, I randomize it, put them in random orders, and then I'm like, okay, I don't want these 2 flags to kick each other out at the beginning. I want to have them have a more of a climactic battle later. And
so I want them to kick each other out at the end.
Yeah, and if there are 2 flags, I think like, okay, one of these 2 is going to win. I put them on separate sides so that if maybe the semifinals or the finals themselves will be between them. So yeah, I do kind of manipulate things in that way. I don't know if that's kind of, but I guess seeding is normal in tournaments, so I guess it's not really doing anything wrong. Yeah. So People's Flag Wars, that was won by the winner was the flag of, and I don't know how to say this because I'm not good at Czech pronunciations, Lidichovice,
Lidichovice. I know the ICE is like an ITSE almost. At least in Polish it is.
Yeah, and basically this flag, and it's by Christoph. So
yeah, I was gonna say Christoph can correct me plenty.
Yeah, but anyway, the flag is like a fleur de lis, and it's kind of like a triangle pointing out to it, with like white and blue lines, stripes going out from it, and like rays. And it's a white fleur de lis and a red background. And I think this is a really cool flag. It's might be my favorite Czech municipal flag.
It's by far my favorite Czech municipal flag, Christoph.
Yeah, and I think this is a deserving winner of the tournaments. But yeah, this tournament did have a lot of really good flags in it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's see. My next tournament actually wasn't a flag tournament. It was called the Heraldry and Emblem Wars. So this was a heraldry, emblems. It focused on like coats of arms, emblems, and seals. And this one had a lot of submissions to it. So it was a pretty big tournament, and it was I feel like, well, one downside though, people on Tumblr know less about heraldry than they do about flags. So people aren't really looking at these being like, people aren't looking at coats of arms and being like, "Oh, this was very historically significant." Oh, look at
well,
how
this
deep
is
the
quarter
symbol is.
jewels, a lion, rampant, blah blah blah. Yeah,
Yeah, instead they're looking like, "Ooh, this coat of arms has a really cool bird on it. I'm voting for it."
yeah. Put a bird on it.
Yeah. And so the winner of this tournament was the flag of Mexico. And the reason why it won, I was surprised by it. I was like,
Because it has a
Mexico?
bird on it.
Yeah, but there's one reason why it won, even more than just having a bird on it. And the finals were between Mexico and Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan's emblem, which also has a bird on it. So, but anyway, the reason why Mexico won so overwhelmingly, and I noticed in every poll that Mexico's emblem was in, had a lot more votes on it than any other. And I realized, I think some of my followers who are from Mexico would reblog this and get their other followers from Mexico to also look at it. So
That makes sense.
So yeah, my Mexican followers, they really liked it because yeah. So that caused a lot of, and there were a ton of comments in any post that had the Mexican emblem on it. There were a ton of people that commenting on it and saying like Mexico #1 and stuff like that and all of it. So I think that definitely influenced the results.
It's pronounced numero uno, but yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
no,
definitely
that makes sense. That does make sense. Yeah, like I mean, it makes sense too that you would get more from there than. Would you say the other one was?
Kyrgyzstan.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it makes sense that. Yeah,
I'd be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't have any followers from Kyrgyzstan. So yeah.
Wouldn't either. I mean,
don't
it's
think
40 tribes, 0 followers. That's
yeah. I wouldn't be
whatever.
I don't think there's anyone with a bias towards Kyrgyzstan on my voters. So
Who knows?
but yeah, Kyrgyzstan does have a cool emblem. I don't remember which one I wanted to win, but there were definitely ones I voted over Mexico, especially because even though it's called a Mexican coat of arms, it's not heraldic in any way. It's basically a national emblem, despite what they call it. It looks cool and it has a lot of historical significance, but it's not really heraldry. But it's the heraldry and emblem wars, so it's not necessarily rating them on how well they follow heraldic rules.
Right.
So anyway,
plus, I feel like every tournament that you run is just to make Krzysztof a little less sane. Like, and I think it's working. I think it's working like a charm.
I mean, that is why I make these tournaments.
I figured that it was just targeted at one person to make them slowly lose it. All right. Anyway, yeah, we got time for like one or two more of yours before we got to go into kind of the third segment. But
yeah, I think I'll just
or we can get through the rest of them if we go a little quick.
Yeah, I'll zoom through them. I'm not going to give more of a response. Okay, so the historical flag wars, to find the best historical flag, was won by the Kingdom of Amber, also known as Jaipur, I think you say it, in former Indian princely state. The flag, it's not very well known. It's a triangular flag with like two triangles pointing out, and then it looks like a pride flag. It looks like the Aero-Ace pride flag. So it's like a red. I mean, not red. It's like orange, and then it's different shades of the color than blue, and then it does the colors again on the second triangle. So I think that's the reason it won. It looks like the Aero-Ace pride flag, and that flag is really popular on Tumblr. So I didn't root for it, definitely. There were definitely other flags I wanted more, but so I was kind of confused by that one. Anyway, next tournament, People's Flag Wars 2, which had like double the amount of people taking part in it than the previous one. Actually, I think it might have had like more than double. That flag was won by someone's proposal it's someone's proposal for the flag of Kairouan. I don't know how to say it. A city in Tunisia. It was made by someone on Reddit named Gargari. I don't know. I assume you might have seen me posting it. It looks like it's a white background, and then it has a camel, but the camel is made out of Arabic calligraphy.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that one was very cool. Yeah,
that one's very cool. I think that's a well-deserved victory.
I thought that one was one of the few that I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I was definitely happy with that one winning.
Yeah.
Next flag, you already mentioned this one, the Dragon Flag Wars. So Jess flags with dragons in them. It was won by the flag of the Qing Dynasty.
Right, so, the yellow field one?
Yellow background, and then there's this blue Chinese dragon on it. Yeah, so that one was really popular with my followers. That one did really well in the earlier Flag Wars. I think it was only defeated by Laser Cube.
Well,
I was personally rooting for. I don't, like I said, I don't know how to pronounce Czech words. It's like Deluha Trevoba or something like that.
oh,
You
I've
talked
been over
about it
that one
in
on the
the
show.
VexHeads episode. VexHeads
Okay,
2,
yeah,
I
I was
think
gonna
it was.
say.
The one with that's the black dragon with the red staff and the yellow background. That
Yeah,
I wanted that one to win. It got pretty
it
far, but
looks
I think
like
Wales defeated it.
it looks like Lucy from Disenchanted. If you've seen Disenchanted or Disenchantment, whatever it's fucking called.
But yeah, that one I love that flag. I thought about putting it as one of my underrated, putting it as underrated because I think
That
it is
one's very cool. I legitimately like that one, not just as a like shtick.
Yeah, I think I'd have to say that one's my favorite Czech municipal flag.
I think it is mostly because Krzysztof didn't design it. That's what like it takes for me to like a Czech flag. No, sorry.
But yeah,
I
that one,
lied.
I love that flag.
Yeah, it is cool.
Okay, quickly go through the others. I did a weird tournament that's very different from anything else I did. I called it the Salem versus Flag Wars, which is it was featuring recolors of the flag of Salem, Oregon. I thought like that's an easily remixable flag. It's a really popular design with my followers. They really like the flag of Salem, especially because it has the trans flag colors and it has a cool flower on it. So I thought I can just do a short. This was like kind of a mini tournament. It had half the amount of flag. It only had 16 flags in it, maybe. Or actually, I think I had more. I just kind of put a bunch together in one poll and just in each poll to get through it faster. And that was won by the Lincoln, Nebraska recolor of Salem. So it's Salem's flag with the colors of Lincoln, Nebraska's flag. So
I mean, yeah, I think I voted for that because like I said, I like the Lincoln flag. I just
that one was really. I think that one was a good recolor of it. Yeah. Next flag. The next tournament, Sunflower Flag Wars. This is probably the most specific of any.
Oh, this one I was so mad at the final.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't remember who was going.
Because I went over this one with Raquel Maestre, and the one that lost the final, I think.
Yeah, the one that won was Sunflower Achillean, which is kind of an relatively obscure pride flag, and it's like it's a tri-band flag with like yellow. I don't remember if it's a white or if it's like kind of a tan color, and then yellow again, and it has a little sunflower in the middle, which there were definitely other flags I was rooting for. So yeah, the other one, that Czech flag that it was going up against, the one that's like yellow, it was like kind of it's divided into black on one side, yellow on the other, and on the black side there's a sunflower there. That one looked really cool.
That wasn't even my favorite one.
Better than it, although honestly most of the flags in the tournament were better than it. Yeah, that one and the historical flag wars are probably one of the ones I'm most confused by. Anyway, the final tournament I've done so far is the Japanese Prefecture Flag Wars, which the finals just happened yesterday, and the flag, although it won't have been when the episode airs, but the winner is the Saga Prefecture. Saga, which I think is deserved. Saga has my favorite Japanese Prefecture flag. If anyone doesn't know, it's kind of a teal color with a white flower in the middle, and there's kind of like some little red, like a reddish orange circle and the symbols in the middle of it. So that's my favorite Japanese prefecture flag. So I think Saga deserved to win.
Yeah, it wasn't the one I voted for. I don't like Kyoto. I haven't made a super huge secret of the fact that I don't really care for the Japanese like prefecture flags, but I did. What was the Hokkaido was the one that it went up against? I think
it went up against it before. I think, but
okay. The one I was, I think that was like the semifinals or something. But Hokkaido is like the one that I like the most. The one with the like dark blue field. Yeah. I guess red 7-pointed star, Fimbria and white. Yeah. I think that might be the only one that I like.
Yeah. Some Japanese prefecture flags I really like. Some I don't think are that good. But yeah, Saga I really like. Kyoto I really like. Hokkaido I really like. I like Tokyo as well. So yeah,
one of them looks like that's stupid to say that. One of them doesn't not look like the Target logo, but anyway. Maybe. All right. Okay, cool. So yeah, all right. that is the Flag Wars. This seems like another good place to take a brief break, and we will be right back after this. Okay, and we are back from break with more from Alex Tomberlin. Now, as teased in the intro up top, Alex has made a TV Tropes page for Flagged for Content. And if you don't know what TV Tropes is, it's more or less what it sounds like. If you don't know what a trope is, though, it's kind of something that just like tends to happen, like at least with a fair enough frequency during like a TV show, a series of movies, like a podcast in this case, anything kind of like that. And Alex has both created and completely filled out this page. And it's part of the reason that I said up top that he knows more about the show than I do, because I'm not going to lie, I read through some of these things and I'm like, oh, yeah, I did do that. Or, wait, I don't remember doing that. Or, like, whatever the case may be. Yeah, there are definitely some interesting... I mean, you update it fairly often because, like, you've got Cool Teacher on here. And these are all weird, weird to me categories. But Cool Teacher, Andy jokes that the Wikipedia version of the flag of Norrköping looks like a cool teacher sitting on his desk while teaching. Yeah, that was just the episode with Max. That was like hardly any time ago. Do-it-yourself theme tune. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Early installment weirdness. Yeah, like the show has changed a little bit as it goes. Easter egg. Many episodes contain hidden details. Like, there's a lot more of this. I mean, the fictional flag section alone is like a meal pretty much by itself. But, God, yeah, man. Like, I don't have time to go through even half of the gratuitous French, the title of La VexHeads. Okay. Andy briefly speaks Russian in episode 41 for gratuitous Russian. Anyway, all right. I don't have time to go through all the gratuitous different languages that I don't, in fact, speak. But, Alex, from what I understand, and from what we've talked about, you know this show pretty freaking well. And you may have, like, a quiz for me that's things that I may not even be totally clued in on as far as the show goes. So, honestly, at this point, like, I will throw it to you, and you can do this kind of in whatever format you like, and I swear I won't look at the page too much while we go. But yeah, I will be keeping score. Alex probably won't, but I'm competitive. So Alex, whenever you want.
Yeah. So basically, this quiz is just like a simple, most of these flags will have a single answer for them. Some might be a multi-part question. There are like 16, 17 maybe questions in this. So it's divided into two sections. One is divided into the underrated, overrated flag questions related to like how many times different flags were mentioned, which flag was the most, stuff like that. And then the next one is just general show questions. Some of these questions should be pretty easy. Some of them are pretty hard. So let's start out with the first one for the overrated, underrated section. How many flags were seen in 3 categories in the overrated, underrated flag question, which means that different people voted either as favorite / got you into flags, overrated, and underrated. So how many I guess this is one you probably don't remember, but one you can guess at least. How many did different people vote for all 3?
So it's a flag that somebody has said is overrated, somebody else has said is underrated, and somebody completely third person has said was the one that got them into flags or is
yeah. And basically and this is divided into 2 questions. First is how many. Second, which you'll answer after you guess how many, is what are the flags?
My guess for how many would be 3.
Close.
And
the correct answer...
That is the correct answer?
No, I said close, but the correct answer is 2.
Okay, if the correct answer is 2, then I think the flags in question are Alaska and California.
No, that is not the case.
Damn it.
Do you want one more guess?
Did I get either of those right?
No.
Is the U.S. flag one of them? No. Don't tell me. Is the U.K. flag one of them?
Yes.
I think the UK flag
is one of them.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be one. Oh man. I'm gonna go back to the U.S. and just go there. Is that the other one or?
The other one was Japan.
Japan.
Yeah, and I was surprised. I didn't remember that it was in 3 until I looked back. To make this quiz, I looked back through every episode that had the overrated underrated section.
Right.
And I calculated each one, and I realized, yeah, UK and Japan were voted for in all 3 categories at least by multiple. Yeah. Okay. And Japan, I think, is like Japan. I was kind of surprised when it was voted underrated, considering how well known it is. Who voted? I don't know. But yeah,
might have been Eric Hart that voted it.
Yeah, you're right. It was Eric Hart. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway,
does that give me a bonus point? It does on my score sheet, baby. All right. So I got UK, and I got an arbitrary bonus point that only counts to me. Next question.
Maybe you can add points 1 at the end of it. You get 0.1 extra points or something for guessing that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Anyway, technically, well, yeah, you got 1. That was technically 2 questions. First was number, second was name, but you got 1 part of that. So anyway.
All right, fair. Keep them coming.
Next question. What flag was chosen as overrated the most times?
I bet it starts with a United.
But which one is it?
Oh God. I mean, it's one of the 2.
Chance.
I've had more American.
Like United Arab Emirates, maybe.
I've had more American guests, so I'm going to say the U.S. flag.
Yes, correct. It was the U.S. flag.
Okay. Count it.
Okay.
Do you know how many times, or do you have that handy?
I know I have it written down.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Maybe I can go through at the end. Yeah, at the end. I have a list of statistics we can go through.
That's all good.
So, next question. How many times was the same flag chosen as underrated more than once?
How many times was the same flag chosen as underrated more than once?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So, maybe I probably didn't phrase it well enough. So, how many people voted for the same flag for underrated?
Oh. So how many times, basically?
Yeah, gotcha. That's right.
No, that makes sense. I just didn't conceptualize it right. For underrated?
Do you want me to give you a hint?
Yes, for half credit.
Okay. For a hint, as a hint, it's probably less than you would think.
So much of a hint. I didn't think it'd be much. How many times was the thing chosen? 3.
The answer is 0.
Nobody's chosen as underrated as anybody else?
Yeah, unless I'm remembering things correctly, if I went through each episode and wrote down, no one has ever chosen the same flag as underrated. And I think, and what that makes me think is that, like, people have very diverse tastes in flags on this podcast. If no one said the same flag was underrated, at least at this point, and like it shows what people's underrated flags really just show a lot about their taste in flags in general. And additionally, if it's underrated, it's less likely to be one of the popular flags. Which
right. Yeah, I mean, it's almost self-selecting. Like, in that way. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, did not realize it was. See, I thought there would at least be, 1. I don't know why. I thought there would be 3. But,
yeah, I thought it was going to be more until I calculated the results. Okay,
all right.
What
No
was
points on
the
that.
this might be a hard one. I didn't know it off the top of my head until I looked it up. What was the first episode to feature the overrated, underrated flag segment? And for this one, you can say either the number of the episode, the name, or the guest. Any of those three would work.
Oh, when did I start doing that? I want to say it was with Terith Peacock.
Okay, the correct answer is it's episode 22, Betsy in the Baltics with Joe Billups.
Joe fucking Billups.
Yeah, I'm
Joey
pretty sure that was the
B.
first one, unless I found. Looking through all of them. I'm pretty sure that was it.
I trust you. That seems right.
Mhm.
And that was also one of the first video ones. Not the first video one, but one of.
I think was your first video one with was that the Tariff one?
I think so, which is why I
think
guessed
so.
that, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, Joey B. Over and under. Yeah. His under was Betsy Ross, and his over was... I don't remember what his over, but we talked a lot about the Baltic flags. Anyway, go on.
Okay. This one is a multiple choice one where I'm going to give you 4 responses, and one of these is correct.
Okay.
So one of these 4 flags was chosen as overrated twice. Which of these is correct? And the one options are Brazil, Japan, England, or Alaska.
Like England.
Yeah, England, not
George.
UK.
One of them was chosen exactly twice.
Yeah, exactly twice. They're and like UK flag and US flag, I think were voted more than that, but this is just
so yeah. So Alaska was Frederic. England. England. I think Terith has named England at least once. Probably wouldn't have done it twice. I think I want to say Brazil.
Correct. The answer was Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it, but I can look through the responses later.
It's less important, but yeah. Brazil makes sense. Okay, yeah. It's that rhombus, man.
Yeah. So 2 different people thought that one was overrated. Okay. Next.
That seems right.
This is the final over underrated section question.
Okay.
And this is to test your memory of this episode itself.
Okay.
So, which flag did I say was most underrated?
Like during this episode?
During this episode.
Oh, oh God. My brain has gone in so many different directions since we were on that part of the episode. You said the Canadian flag was the one that got you into flag. Tavares, Florida.
Yeah, Tavares, but that counts. Yeah, so Tavares.
Whatever.
Tavares, Florida was my underrated. I just wanted to test your memory.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so the next section is just
weird bird.
That's the next section is just general show questions. So this can be anything related to flag for content.
Okay.
So, what 3 flags? So, what 3 flags did you use to spell Vex in the World Vexillology Day Mini Special 2023?
I think for the V, I used Antigua and Barbuda. For the E, I used... was it Cuba or Puerto Rico? I used Cuba, I think.
Correct.
Because Puerto Rico I have is a 2x3, not a 3x5. And then for the X, oh my God, did I use... I must have used Alabama. I would have had... No. I think I used Scotland. Because I wanted... Did I use Scotland for the X?
Yes, you used Scotland.
Okay, thank God. I was like, I know I wanted like certain colors to like match up or not match up or whatever in some cases, but whew.
But you got all 3 of that one.
What a fun quiz. Hey, what did you do 2 months ago?
What's up, VexHeads, and welcome to World Vexillology Day.
It was a good one. All right, what do we got?
This next question, it focuses more on the early days of the podcast. Who was the first guest to appear twice on the podcast?
That's got to be Nick Page. Ooh,
Yes.
wait. It was Nick Page?
Yeah, you got it. It's Nick Page.
Okay. I was thinking it might be Ian Sharp because I couldn't remember when. Yeah, it's got to be Nick.
Yes, it was. Okay, this question is about a specific episode to see how much you remember the episode.
Oh, God.
Okay, although the title mentions Ohio, what flag did you spend the first half of episode 18 talking to Nick Page about?
So, on here you have Bait and Switch. Episode 18 initially appears to focus on the flag of Ohio due to it being titled Oops, All Ohio, and the guest Nick Page being from Ohio. Nick begins discussing a flag that sounds like Ohio, only to reveal that it is in fact the flag of Nepal, which I did know, by the way, but I did want to get to this part of the TV tropes. Much of the episode focuses on the Nepalese flag with the flag of Ohio only being discussed in the later part of the episode. Yes, it is Nepal. I knew that, but again, wanted to read it.
Yes, correct. It was Nepal. What? Okay, this is another one about a specific episode. But this one asks you about the thumbnail. What is one of the two flags to appear in the thumbnail of episode 33, Flags of the World Wide Web, with Zachary Hardin? And if you can't remember, I can give you a hint.
Is one of them Thailand?
No.
Is one of them Thai?
No.
As in not okay.
And if you want, I can give you hints for both of them.
Oh my God. Because I remember talking to Zach. I just don't remember what I put in the thumbnail. Yeah, go for the hint.
Okay, one of the flags features a plant. One of the other flags features a weapon.
Is one of them a plant and a weapon? Is one of them Sri Lanka?
No.
I thought that might be the weapon.
Okay, here's another hint.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you a hint for a continent. The first flag is European. The second flag is African.
Kingdom of Benin?
Yes. The unidentified kingdom of Benin, whatever you say it.
Benin,
with the beheading on it. The beheading flag.
And then the other one was from Europe, but had a what on it?
A plant.
Is it a current flag?
Yes. It's not a national flag.
It's the weed flag. I forget what it's called. It's
I think it's
canopy.
Yes, correct.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, I'm shocked that I pulled that out of wherever.
Yes, you got both of them for that one.
Oof. Yeah.
Next question. This is one goes all the way back to episode 1.
Okay.
What is the first flag discussed in episode 1, meaning the first flag you ever talk about in the podcast?
Denmark.
Yes, correct. Yes, Denmark was the first flag you ever mentioned in this podcast.
Remember that.
Okay. This question focuses more on your flag flying videos. So not technically a podcast episode. So this is one of your YouTube short / TikToks. So what song did you use for your YouTube short / TikTok featuring the flag of Berlin?
It's a Beirut song, I think.
Yes.
I don't know the names of all the Beirut songs. I just know how they go. Isn't it the one that's like calls and sings Berlin, Berlin?
I'm pretty that one was it. I think
the camp we're done with him. Is it? No, it's not called Berlin. Is it called a suburb of Berlin? Is it like Prince Lauerberg? No.
No. Here's a hint. It starts with an I. And it's a 3-word title.
Dude, I don't know. I know the song, but I don't think I know the title.
Okay. Well, the answer is In the Mausoleum.
In the Mausoleum. Yep. I know that song. I could sing the entire thing.
Next one.
But not on air because, copyright. But
What flag was the topic of Flag for Bonus Content 1? So the first Flag for Bonus Content episode. What flag did you discuss?
that was the one with Tarith, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, he discussed Niger, and I discussed. Well, he, as part of the same recording, he discussed Niger, but I don't know if it made the cut on the bonus content. And I discussed.
The bonus one focused on a single flag. And yeah, and Tareth went over like its history, and you had a discussion about its history and its significance to its country. So here's a hint: it's not a national flag.
It's not now. It's on that. I don't know.
The answer is the Eureka flag.
Yep. Damn it! I knew that. Yep. All right, hey, subscribe to the Patreon, y'all, because I apparently remember so much about it. No, it's been a minute, but yeah, that was a good one.
The next one is another one that focuses on a specific episode. Okay, what flag did Juan Artero issue a challenge to have redesigned in episode 34?
It wouldn't be the Canary Islands flag. Because he likes that. I like that one. I bet it would be something mainland Spain.
Yes.
But not Madrid. Not Catalonia. Shit, Galicia? No. Galicia?
No. The correct answer is Madrid, but not the Madrid community flag, but the Madrid city flag, which has a bear grabbing for a tree or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, you got me. I've not been keeping score either.
Here's another specific episode flag.
Okay.
Name 2 of the 3 objects. So this one, if you get 3, I guess you get an extra point. But to win this one, you only need 2 of them. Name 2 of the 3 objects on Kevin Hayman's redesign of the Southern flag.
Oh my god. Is one a mosquito?
No.
Okay. Oh my god. Is one? No. I saw that either. This was the second episode he was on. Is one like a pecan pie?
No. But here's a hint. 2 of the options are related to food.
Is one moonshine?
No.
Is one... Oh, dude. Dude, I don't even know where to start. I'm not gonna get it.
Okay, the correct answer, and I wouldn't have gotten this one either. I didn't remember until I went back to the episode. The correct answer is biscuits, Caro syrup, and hand pointing. Yeah, and I didn't even know what Caro syrup was. So,
I mean, yeah, that might be more of a Mississippi thing, but yeah, Caro syrup, it's just corn syrup, I think. but you flavor it with stuff, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, the final question.
Kevin.
So this is also related to a more recent episode. So that's a bit of a hint towards the answer.
God, I hope so.
What is the most viewed episode on YouTube?
Oh, Mr. Flagged for content.
Yes, correct.
By a lot, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, those are all the questions. So yeah, I'm not sure what the scores were. You wanted to briefly go over the overrated and underrated. So all the flags that were multiple times rated as overrated are US with 3, California with 2, Brazil with 2, UK with 2. So those are all the ones that multiple times rated or overrated. All of the other ones, not including this episode itself, unless I missed one, are... I'm just going to speed through these because we don't want to take up too much time. South Africa, Japan, Confederate flag, England, Phoenix, Guyana, Chicago, Alaska, Australia, Bern, and New Bern. Yeah, those are both in the same episode. And Oregon. Underrated were Vanuatu, Bahamas, Brazil, St. Albans Cross, United Kingdom, Oriki? I don't know how to pronounce Czech words. Aspen, Koru flag, People's Flag of Milwaukee, Canopy Parish, Rwanda, Japan, Nunavut, Tyre, Turkmenistan, Samora, St. Lucia, Nepal, Suriname, Kyrgyzstan, South Sea Islanders, Bohol, and Refugee. So yeah, those are all the ones that were listed as far as I know, not including this episode.
Yeah, people got opinions on underrateds and tend to cluster on the overrateds, is I guess pretty much what that says. Mm-hmm. But that makes sense because you would kind of expect that, I think, with the overrateds. Yeah, well, shit, dude. I think that's pretty much gotta close us out, dude. Thank you for coming up with that. First off, I asked Alex to come up with like a quiz, but I didn't really give him that many parameters, and like he did all this himself. So Alex, thank you so much for like your work on this. Thank you so much for your work on the TV Tropes page. Like, I'll have it up at the bottom again here, as I did earlier. But like, dude, there is. I'm not even halfway through the page, and I'm just on like the G's basically. So, gag penis. Well, I guess we can say that. We've already said some cuss words, so go check out what the gag penis is on TV Tropes. Like, I think that's a good selling point. But dude, so we will do a little bit more here on Patreon. I've got like a couple questions for you, but for the rest of us who are kind of closing out here, what are some places to find you and follow you, like where you want to be found?
Yeah, so if anyone has a Tumblr account and you enjoy flag tournaments and that type of thing, please follow me on Flag Wars, which is at Flag Wars on Tumblr. I currently have some other tournaments planned. My next tournament, which will either be in the middle of going on when this episode airs or be over, will be the 2023 new Czech Flag Wars. That one gets kind of specific. It's on any new Czech flag that was made this year. And then afterwards, I'm just doing the 2023 new Flag Wars. I had to divide them into two groups because there are too many new Czech flags to be in the other one. And then after that, my plan is the regional Flag Wars. Oh, wait, no. Before that will be the Russian Federal Subject Flag Wars. To decide because there's so many, I needed to have its own tournament. And then the regional Flag Wars, which will probably be sometime in January or February. I'm hoping in January, though. So that's my current selection of future tournaments, and expect more after that as well, because I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. So yeah, and please check out the TV Tropes page as well. And feel free to contribute as well, because anyone can. Yeah,
is it open like for that?
Yeah, it's open. The TV Tropes is a wiki. Anyone can edit it and add tropes and make any changes. So please make any additions if you remember something that I don't.
Yeah, I actually meant to. Well, yeah, we'll go into it on the Patreon, because there's a couple things that you missed. But really, literally, only a couple. So, anyway, Alex, hey, thank you so much for coming on. We'll have a little bit more on the Patreon, but for those of us who don't already follow us, you should know where to, and that is anywhere that there is an @ sign. We are @flagged for content, the numeral, the number 4. Otherwise, or except for YouTube, where we are flagged for content, all spelled out. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't have too much to plug other than check out our link tree, because it does have links to be a future guest on the show, or follow our Patreon, or join the Discord, like join the sick conversation that like Alex and me and like a ton of others are having pretty much daily, to be honest. And yeah, that'll be up on the screen and in the show notes. But Alex, I am woefully short on ways to close out the show as usual, so if you've got anything at all, I think now would be the time.
Yes. I just wanted to wish all of the VexHeads out there a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Yeah, thank you everyone for watching.
Yes, thank you guys so much. Alex could not have said it better. Appreciate y'all, appreciate you, Alex. And yeah, happy holidays, everyone. This has been another year of Flagged for Content.
Flagged for Content is a Flags for Good podcast. Go to flagsforgood.com for more info.